How how are things there? How's Quebec during the pandemic?
Oh man, I think it's like everywhere in the world, like the world we're in quarantine and but we can like go in mountain, play basketball, play tennis. So I'm doing everything I can do so to stay active.
Yeah,
So that's it. Quebec, like everywhere sucks.
I'm in Nova Scotia, so it's I think we're a little bit slower. Like we just got we're allowed now to go outside, but we can't go to like playgrounds and parks and stuff yet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a
damn.
little bit slower here than Quebec, but it
Yeah,
sucks. How's the is the
yeah,
gym open
really.
there?
Nah, nothing's open. Like we cannot train, and I think last thing they're gonna open. So it's going. But man, we want to fight. Like I know a lot of guys in Quebec. Like we want to fight. We need to fight. It's our bread and butter. So
It's like you like cut off there a little bit. You cut
all
off.
good.
All good
All
now.
right.
All good. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know too.
So what's your training been like? Obviously, you can't go to the gym, but have you been doing like home workouts online?
Yeah, I
What's
have.
the
Yeah, I have a couple of stuff like heavy weight, and I cannot like bench press and all that kind of stuff. But we got a lot of elastics, so we can do like short workout. I can train differently too, so I can watch film of everything. Like it's so important to analyze fight, and I wasn't doing that really lately, but now I have a lot of time, so I'm doing that. I'm training outside in park. Like we can be like two people, two or I think in Quebec we can be like 10 people in the same place. So we can arrange some stuff, some training. I have some friends that have a couple of things like training can be good. So we can't like fight sparring and everything, but we can at least like move and stay active a bit.
yeah you So if you had an opportunity, when would you like to get back in there? Obviously, I'm sure things aren't ideal. You're not getting the proper training that you'd ideally like, but if the opportunity came up, is have you thought about that? Like maybe fighting even though there's a pandemic?
Yeah, it's been a like my I have a friend like he find me a couple of fight maybe at the beginning at the end of the pandemic, and like some big fight. So my coach is not very open about this because we can't properly train. So my coach is like, maybe you'll not be ready, but man, everybody's are like me. So the fight is gonna be like even like both fighters are gonna be not 100% because we can't properly train. So I would like to fight like right after the pandemic. I train my way, so and I know how to fight. Like I'm doing this like since I'm 13 years old, and I'm 26 now. The half of my life I've been fighting, so I know how to fight, and I know I have the will. So we'll be ready like right when they give us the permission.
You had so you fought back in was it September? It was September, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
September.
before that, you went an entire year without fighting. It looked like you had a few matches that you were supposed to have, and they kind of
Yeah.
fell through. What happened?
My last fight was against Damien Lapillus, a French guy, and he's been an ass. Like all the old training camp, like we kind of shoot each other's, and the day of the fight, we had our weight in 155, both of the guy, and Then Jesse Ronson had something, was supposed to fight in main event against Charles Jourdain, and Jesse couldn't fight because he had something in the face, but all the medic from Ontario said, "Oh, it's okay, it's not, it will not like be dangerous for your fight." So Jesse was like, "Okay, good, continue training." And then he did his weigh-in at Quebec, and the regie from Quebec was like, "Oh, you cannot fight with that." And Jesse had a paper like, "Hey, I can't fight. I have everything like all good," but they said like, "Oh, you can't." So they take my opponent. Like I was the semifinal. They took my opponent. They give him to Charles Jourdain. So I was like, "Damn, seriously, fuck." So I couldn't fight because of this. Man, shit happens. Jesse and me were the biggest loser, but shit happened, like I said. So that was one of my canceled fight. So after that, my TKO contract was over. So I signed with the new organization, New Era from Quebec. But now I'm looking like I want to fight maybe somewhere else, because Quebec is slow. Like the organization are not like, it's hard to find fight in Quebec. So maybe Ontario is better, or somewhere in US. So like I'm watching for this because my record is kind of okay, like for worldwide fight, like 7-3. I won like 7 of my 8 last fight. My only loss was against Jess Ronson, like number 1 in Canada.
And split decision.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Like it has been a fight of the year even in some podcasts in Quebec. So it was a good fight, and I'm ready to fight like anybody, like UFC veteran. I don't care. Like, just give me a fight. I'll finish them.
Yeah, I mean, your losses have been the first two were the first 2 fights that you were professional, and then you had a long winning streak, and then another split loss. So even though it's 7-3, I mean, if you get rid of the first 2, it's 7-1. Like it's so. I mean, you've got a lot of momentum. So it's you're probably like realistically like a fight or two, like couple of big finishes, and you could be knocking at the door of a Bellator or UFC or a bigger organization. Is that the goal?
Yeah, that's the plan. Like every time I fight, like you see my record. Like all my wins are in first round, or one time it happens in the second, like something like that. So I finished my guys, and I'm better than every guy I fought, and man, I'm proving it. Like every time I fight, I dominate my opponent and I finish them. Every time I won. So, like you said, 1 or 2 big tests, and I'm knocking at the big door. So that's the plan, like you said.
Yeah. So there, for a long time, there weren't many Canadian MMA fighters in the UFC. I mean, there was George St. Pierre, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
So he recently got into the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts? Do you think it deserves it? Very deserving of it. And do you think he's the best ever?
Yeah, I think he's the greatest fighter ever. Like, man, you see the Conor McGregor ranking?
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh shit, that was funny. Like, damn, man, seriously? But for me, George St. Pierre is number 1. Like, even after his retirement, he fought the champion of the world at the light heavyweight. No, not light heavyweight, like middleweight. He beat him like that. He hurt this thing. Man, he's the greatest. I absolutely think he's the greatest. And man, you can have a point if you're talking about John Jones or Anderson Silva, but Anderson Silva's like is the end of his career is like yeah. And he got tested positive for something. Even John Jones tested positive for something. So man, how couldn't you give it to George? What's your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Canadian too, so George for me is number 1, right? But I think you look at for me, it's the best martial artist is George St. Pierre.
Yeah, you represent the sport like.
Yep.
Number
When
one.
it comes to being a martial artist and discipline and respect, George St. Pierre is number one. When it comes to fighting, I have John Jones because I think John Jones is a better fighter. Um, but I think George St. Pierre as a whole and what he did, his legacy, the amount of people, everybody respects George. No one can say a
Mm-hmm.
bad thing about George St. Pierre, and I think that's what mixed martial arts is about. And for me, that's why George is number one. And he fought Josh Koscheck, he fought Johnny Hendricks, he fought really really good fighters
Yeah.
uh, that entire time. Matt Hughes, Matt Serra, he fought. So for
My
me,
favorite.
George is number one.
Yeah, beat Japan twice, man. While he was in his prime, before he street fight everybody, like damn.
Yeah,
And his fight are intelligent fight. Like, man, you're looking at the greatest fight in UFC history. Like, he has couple great fight.
yeah,
Like,
he's
some people used to say he's a boring fighter and everything, but man, he has some big fight. Like against BJ Penn, the two fight were like, wow,
yeah.
this guy are great.
Yeah, have you had a chance to go to TriStar? Have you worked at TriStar at all?
Yeah,
Have you ever?
I train at TriStar like when we're not in pandemic. Like I train in TriStar like twice a week.
Oh, okay. So have you worked with George?
Yeah, maybe a couple of times. Not a lot, but yeah, a couple of times.
How's his work ethic? He's got to be one of the hardest working guys you've ever worked with.
Yeah, he's good because he's so bright. He's so like focused on one thing and he's not wasting energy. I think it's his greatest strength. Like you roll with him, he's not doing something for nothing. He's always doing the thing he do because he think it's gonna help him to finish the fight. I roll, yeah. TriStar is the place. It's a very good place to train because there's people around the world like come there. Like we have even in Quebec, we have Olivier Aubin-Mercier, we have George. Firas Zahabi is so good at coaching. Man, there's a couple of pro guy like awesome. You can develop yourself like at ease at TriStar.
Yeah, I think for me, for us, the hobby is, in my mind, the number one mastermind in all of MMA. And George is a great example of that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if when anyone comes to me and they're like, "What's the best gym in the world?" I'm like, it all depends on what you want. But if you want the best coach in the world, it's definitely TriStar. Have you
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the UFC and what they're doing? Obviously, they're going crazy. They're building an island. They're flying people all over the world. They're testing people like crazy. Do you think it's good for the sport, or do you think it paints like a bad picture? Like everyone else is being cautious, and then UFC is just like, I don't care. We're just gonna do it.
I don't think it's bad because even hockey and basketball are gonna start again. Like hockey is official, basketball too, I think. Like UFC have been the first, but yeah, maybe they start early and talks about the Habib fight. We all wanted to see that, but man, it's the only thing that we can watch at TV. That the
Mm-hmm.
only sport we can watch. Like I think it helps people to like stay focused and not being crazy. I think it's entertaining. I think it's good, but the other way, yeah, they start maybe soon. I don't know, man. What's your thought?
I mean, I think the same. So obviously, we went 3 months without watching any fights. So from a fan perspective, it's like, man, I just want to watch fights. But you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, it's like you got the fighters are missing out on proper training. You're not seeing 100%. Like the fighter is not the
Uh-huh.
best that they're going to be, but neither is their opponent. So it's always interesting to hear from a fighter perspective, because from a fan perspective, I don't care about all that stuff. I just want to watch fights.
Yeah,
So I guess from a fighter perspective, it's definitely a different look than whatever I could think of, I guess. But I think it's amazing, and I think the amount of money they spent on it, and they're willing to get rid of the gate money and all that stuff. I think it shows how much they're going to do for fans and their fighters.
But fight's still good. Like Gaethje versus Ferguson, Gaethje looked 100%. It was so great. And on this card, there were like a lot of good fight too. So fighter looked okay, but I don't think they respect the non-training and non-regroup. But man, part of the game. Fight's still good to watch, like you said. Prospective fan, it's good.
Yeah, for sure. There's a fight coming up this weekend, and a Canadian is on the main event. Felicia Spencer. She's fighting Amanda Nunes. I'm excited for this fight, but I think everyone I've spoken to has Nunes winning. Do you have it the same way?
Yeah. How could she lose? Like, she's the female GOAT. Like, damn. She's so good. Like, she could even fight some guys, not in the UFC, but she could fight. Man, she's good. she's very great.
Yeah, I think she's the best of all time. And I'm surprised Connor didn't include her in his rant. I was like, how can you forget Amanda Nunes?
I'm not surprised, because Connor's a jerk. Like, even Habib is not there, but Habib destroyed Connor. So how can you be number 2 and Habib not there? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I get what he's trying to do. It's bringing attention. I don't agree with the rankings, but it does bring attention. I see you have an Ali poster behind you. So are you a boxing fan too?
Yeah, but I'm more an Ali fan. He's my idol. Like, incredible. Like George, he's in and out. The sport is bigger than everything. Like, he has political opinions. I think he's the greatest of all time. And the person behind the boxer is awesome too. He helped the black community. He's awesome. He's an example. Like, we should all follow.
Yeah, I think he's one of the, just like just powered so many people. There's another boxer, Mike Tyson, who's coming out of retirement. How do you feel about that?
I'm only fan in the fight like Holyfield. Like, you see the what's the movie, like Sylvester Stallone against Robert De Niro. Rocky. Like, man.
Oh yeah.
No, Sylvester Stallone against De Niro.
Yeah,
like, they made a movie.
Yeah.
Man, it looked like that. Like, two old rivalry, a big rivalry. Like, fought together again, and Will sells tickets, but man, Will sucks.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. But I think it has to be another boxer. I don't think it can be Tito Ortiz or Ken. Like, they're throwing out a bunch of names. I think it has to be Holyfield. I think that would be the fight to make.
Yeah. Holyfield is like 2-0 on the record.
Yeah,
they fought twice.
So. Yeah, I think Holyfield won both. I'm not big into boxing. I watch it now with Fury and all the drama there. But
Fury's the man. Wow, he's so great.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm not big into boxing. MMA, 100%. For me. What would you be down if the UFC approached you now and was like, "Hey, look, we've got a last minute fight." Would you take it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, every entry of the UFC is like, you have to take that. You cannot like waste the chance.
Yeah.
So if they approach me, like, 100%, I'm good, and I'll die in the bath to make the weight. I don't care. And man, 100%, there's not a chance. Like, I refuse that. Man, it's a dream. The dream would come true. So I have to take this, even if, like I said earlier, like, my will is so big. I can win a fight against anybody. I don't care. Man, I would give my life in that ring, in that octagon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like, there's risks when you take a fight on short notice. Like, it's almost guaranteed you're not going to be as ready as you could be,
But
and it's almost like
Connelly,
yeah, right.
Connelly is the best example.
Yeah.
Like, he took a fight at 170 against the biggest 170 ever, and he beat him in 3 rounds, like, easy. So he's a great example. He was a nice fight to see. Like, they could have made a movie about this.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think that was very impressive. Michel Pereira is huge, and he beat the brakes off Diego Sanchez. Then he got disqualified, but so it just shows you like you got to take that chance. You know, you may lose, and if you lose, at least you're in the UFC. And if you win, then Tristan Connolly is a great example. You're kind of thrown right in there. So so is the mentality stay ready, be ready all the time?
Yeah, always. Like I said, I'm doing this for a living, so I thought about MMA all the time. How can I be better? I train all the time. So yeah, 100% ready.
All right, man. Well, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. I hope things open up sooner rather than later there in Quebec, so you can get back in there and hopefully pick up a win or two, and then get a call from Bellator, UFC, hopefully UFC. Yeah, I wish you all the best, man.
Thanks for the invite, man, and have a good day.
Yeah, you too. All the best.
Bye, bro.
Keep washing your hands. Stay safe.
Yeah, don't worry.